G'day cocktail lovers. I'm doing a bit of an experiment tonight. Well, I'm starting it tonight. It's going to take at least a week or so to finish because I'm flavouring some whiskey. I'm going to do two different styles of apple whiskey because again, this whole thing started with, well, let's call it a tale of two syrups. This syrup, which I often bring out, this is my spiced apple brown sugar syrup. And I love this syrup. It's one of the best things I've ever made. I regularly use it in cocktails, particularly old-fashioned style ones. And I like making a really simple liqueur with it. Equal parts this, brandy, rum, and whiskey, and it tastes so good. I recently used up my last batch of that sugar syrup making a new batch of the liqueur, so it was time to make some of the syrup again, and that starts out fairly simply, a couple of apples. And I peel the apples and then slice them thinly. And here's the thing where I like to use things more than once. When I made this, I actually left the peel on the apple, but the apple is really nice to keep and eat afterwards. It's so yummy. Would probably make a killer apple pie. I found the apple tasted better if it didn't have peel, so I peeled the apples. I could, of course, simply throw the apple peel away, but I thought I can make a syrup with that, simply covering the peel with some sugar syrup. And I've done this a couple of times, and it does make a nice syrup. But I wanted to do something different. The first phase of making the syrup is pretty straightforward. Thinly sliced apple pieces and just cover them with sugar. I tend to weigh the apples and then cover them in twice their weight in sugar. This time I'm using a mix of brown sugar and dark brown sugar. The apple peel is also going to make a syrup. This is with caster sugar, and the ratio I'm doing the same. I weighed the apple peel and then just covered it in twice their weight in caster sugar. And a little tip that I do, caster sugar is not just plain caster sugar. I actually flavour it. I leave in some vanilla bean pods and some cinnamon sticks that I'd previously used in something else, and I just leave them in a container with the sugar, and the sugar really picks up the flavour, gives it that little bit of extra zing. You give these both enough time and the sliced apple and the apple peel will liquefy the sugar. It often doesn't take very long. It might take a couple of hours. Sometimes it's easy to just leave it overnight and it'll be ready the next day. To make the spiced brown sugar apple syrup, you need cooking spices. You go with whatever you have or what you like. I was going with what was in my cupboard. It's a mix. There is star anise, cloves, cardamom, nutmeg, and allspice, and some cinnamon sticks in there as well. I start by just toasting them in a saucepan. Don't want them to burn, but keep them on the heat for a while till they start to toast a bit and the flavors waft up. To complete the spiced apple brown sugar syrup, we just add the syrup and the apple slices to the pot that's got the cooking spices in. Still on the heat, low heat, we just want it simmering. And then you stir all that in. You might want to add a little bit more water to make sure the sugar is completely dissolved, but I just let that simmer. 15 minutes, half an hour, because you just want all those flavors to permeate, and then we're going to strain out the actual spices and the apple slices, so we've just got the syrup. Another fun part of using things more than once to minimize waste, after I separate the apple for eating later from the bits of cooking spice, my other half, she actually dries out those cooking spices again and then grinds them up to a powder, and that's just really flavorful. She just adds that to hot chocolate or shakes, whatever, to give them a bit of zing. It's just like, do one thing, but it actually ends up letting you do multiple things. I love it. Syrup's made. I'm getting to the point where now I'm going to add some whiskey. I've got these little containers. This is the apple peels and the syrup, and this is the slices of apple, and they've carried a bit of the syrup in with them as well. And now I'm simply going to add some whiskey. I have a lot of whiskeys. I was wondering which one to use. I decided to use this one, the Whistle Pig Rye, honestly because I don't particularly care for it, and I'm hoping this process improves it. So we pour half of it into the apple peel and half of it into the apple slices. Fun bottle though, I think I'll keep it. Now I'm going to leave these for a week and then I'll taste it. I'll agitate this, shake them like every day or so at least, just to make sure everything's blending in. And in a week, I'll do a taste test and see if I like how they've turned out. I've left the whiskies in the apple slices and the apple peel for about a week and a half. Very obvious color differences, which is exactly what I expected. The brown sugar apple slices, the whiskey has gone quite brown, be a whiskey liqueur now, and the same deal with the apple peel and syrup. That's picked up colour from the apple peel. And for real, there is no red left in the apple peel. This was very red when I put the whiskey in, and it's kind of leached all of the colour out of it. I thought I got 2 whiskey glasses the same size. I wasn't paying enough attention. I swear I have not been drinking yet tonight, but such as it is. Again, very noticeable differences in colours. I think the brown sugar one is going to be a stronger taste, so I'm going to taste the apple peel one first. That is just a delight. Possibly get up the nose of whiskey purists, but my wordy, I thoroughly recommend trying this. It's still really boozy. It tastes great. So I haven't mixed this with anything. It's just the whiskey and the syrup. Now the brown sugar one. That's like an apple pie with cinnamon on it. These are both fantastic. Honestly, I think my default way of drinking these would just be straight on ice. But I am going to try and come up with a cocktail recipe for this, because I think they deserve their chance to shine. But I swear, these are really good. I think over ice in summer, but in winter, they've got that warming apple pie feel to them. They're both fantastic. I recommend you do exactly what I did. First, because I think that brown sugar syrup I make with the apples is fantastic, and the leftover apple slices are super yummy. From experience, not once they've been in whiskey. I'm not going to try one because I've done it before, and they kind of absorb all the bitterness from the whiskey. Both the apple peel whiskey liqueur and the brown sugar apple slice whiskey liqueur, absolutely fantastic. I think if you like whiskey, you will not regret making these. Honestly, if whiskey's a bit harsh for you, you would really like making these, I think. And yeah, maybe even have them in a highball. I'm thinking these possibly would go well with soda, but I'm just going to enjoy them as is for now. Come back another day with a creation that suits them. I hope that's given you some food for thought, maybe some inspiration, and I hope that's given you enough incentive to come back and see me again sometime, where we'll be making more concoctions, who knows what. I'm always coming up with something, so I'd love to see you back. Until I do see you again, back on my double fisting bullshit, I will say, cheers.